Hello everyone, my name is Jason and I am an ISFP. You are watching my ISFP journey. Thank you so much for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. I would also appreciate it if you would subscribe. That would be, pardon me, really awesome. Thank you for watching. So this video is the second video that I will have done now under the topic of the types or the cognitive functions in song. So what I want to look at in this video is introverted feeling, which of course as an ISFP is my first function, my lead function, my hero function, my dominant function, one of my saviors, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so introverted feeling in song, and I'm looking at the song I Won't Back Down, which was sung by Tom Petty. I think he might have been a member of the Traveling Wilburys, might have officially been a Traveling Wilburys song, I don't remember, but Tom Petty sung it. Not sure who wrote it, didn't take the time to look, doesn't really matter. So, in addition to looking at some of the lyrics of that song and applying them to introverted feeling, I'm also going to talk a little bit about some variations that I see in introverted feeling even as a hero function amongst different people, okay? So let's get started. The song I Won't Back Down has, among other lyrics, these lyrics. I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You could stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. Now, pardon me. I, right off the bat, could relate this to either of the introverted judging functions, whether it's introverted feeling or introverted thinking. The idea for the person who has a high introverted judging function is that they have sort of stuck their flag in the sand on the introverted feeling side, what they value, what they believe, and on the introverted thinking side, what they know to be true or what their reasons are for the way that they look at life or the way that they view reality. Okay, so on the feeling side, you have your values, your likes, what you're emotionally invested in to an extent. And on the thinking side, what you believe to be true, or what you oftentimes what we would characterize it, or the thinker would characterize as what they know to be true, what logically reasons out. So the person who is an introverted, a high introverted judger is going to come to these conclusions largely independent of what the group believes or thinks or acknowledges. And then that person with the high introverted judging function is going to say, on this hill, I will stand, I will fight, and I will die. The introverted judger, the introverted judging function is not looking for the group to give it approval. It's not saying, I think I value this, I think this is valuable, but what do you guys think? It's saying, this is valuable, introverted feeling, or this is true, introverted thinking. And you can line up your thinking, valuing with me, and we can be cool and travel together and fight and die together. Or you cannot. You can be out there somewhere, looking down upon me, whatever. Introverted judging functions have a very me against the world sort of vibe to them, okay, and process. So the song says, I won't back down, no, I won't back down. You could stand me up at the gates of hell and I won't back down. So imagine the introverted judger saying, I have made up my mind, and it does not matter what you say or what you do. You cannot push me off of this hill that I have planted my flag on. Now, he goes on to say after, I won't back down, no, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. Well, I'll stand my ground, won't be pushed around, and I'll keep this world from dragging me down, gonna stand my ground, and I won't back down. Now, I said a minute ago, for those of us, and by the way, this is primarily applying to IPs. So ISFPs, INFPs, that's introverted feeling as our lead function. And then you have the INTPs and the ISTPs with introverted thinking as their lead function, okay? So where he says, I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Those of us who are IPs, I think, can have this mindset where we believe ourselves to have latched on to this, and I'm going to really focus on introverted feeling. I'm going to break off a little bit from introverted thinking just because I am an ISFP, not an ISTP or an INTP. But some of this can apply to the TPs as well, to the ITPs as well. So those of us with introverted feeling are going to say, no, I have grabbed hold of these things that I value. And then we look out into the world, the group is saying, yeah, but, you know, what about us? And we often do see the group as those people who are trying to drag us down. They're trying to drag us away from our deeply held convictions. The world, or whoever that may be, right? That group out there does not value what we value. And they want us, IPs, to value what they value. And so if we give into that, now, I'm not saying we can't change our values or be swayed by sound reason, okay? But to a large degree, we IPs feel like we have a hold of this value, this set of values, especially for IFPs, and we see the group as trying to pull us off of that because they don't value what we value. And if we give in and say, okay, I'll value what you, the group, value because you're putting so much pressure on me to do so, then we're really abandoning our identity. We're abandoning what matters to us. And for us, that would feel like being dragged down to the ground, okay? Being pulled off of what we believe. He says, elsewhere in the song, he says, well, I know what's right. I've got just one life. In a world that keeps on pushing me around, well, I'll stand my ground and I won't back down. I know, he says, what's right. I know. That's introverted judging. I'm not asking the group what they know to be right. I'm not saying, hey, group, let's take a poll. Or, well, I do respect these people over here, so I guess I should analyze what they believe to be right and see if I agree with them or not. It really isn't like that. I mean, I'm not saying that we IPs never do that. I'm not saying we always shut out the group. We never listen to the group, especially if the group is people that we truly respect. We will be interested in knowing their thoughts. But if their thoughts are a clear divergence from our value judgments, we're not going to be, as the song says, pushed around. He says in the song, in a world that keeps on pushing me around, well, I'll stand my ground and I won't back down. Introverted feeling, pardon me, and this can be said to an extent of introverted thinking as well, just for different reasons, is saying, you will try to push me around. I have put my flag on this hill and said, I will guard this hill. I will defend this hill. I will die on this hill. And you will try, group, to push me around because you don't like it. You don't value what I value. You don't like what I like. You don't care about what I care about. And you want to absorb me into the group. But I will stand here on this hill, and the world will try to drag me down, and the world will try to push me around. The world will try to pull me off of my values, push me into other values, but I will not be swayed. I will not back down. So again, this whole song could be an introverted judging function song in general, but I'm relating it primarily to introverted feeling, because for me, the feeling of the song is more of a feeling vibe than it is a thinking one, but I could see it applying either way. Now, interestingly, this that I'm saying could apply to anyone who's lead judging function is an introverted one, introverted feeling or introverted thinking, but it's going to apply most to the IPs because we all have this introverted judging function as our first function. But this feeling of, being pushed around by the group, it's going to be a little bit different for different people. So for the ISFP, well, let me say it this way. For the ISFP and the INFP, in both cases, having lead introverted feeling, we're going to have this sort of sense in which when the group tries to push us off of our values or drag us down from our hill, right? That we're being pulled away from sort of our identity and who we are and what makes us significant and what makes us unique and what it is about us that adds value to the world, okay? But I do think for the INFP, it can be a little different from the ISFP in this sense. As an ISFP, what I value tends to be what I like and what makes me feel good and what brings me happiness and it is what I produce too, but what I produce for more of a physical effect, okay? So I do like to produce things and that is part of my identity, but my producing of things is not necessarily to have, not always designed to have some major influence, but to just beautify my little area. But the things that I like and the things that I identify with are very much tied into my feelings and my likes, and I'm kind of repeating myself there, so forgive me. For the INFP, there is a little bit of a different focus, I think, where they have this sort of identity of wanting to not only be themselves and be, unique and authentic in who they are, but it can be for what they can contribute also, like moving toward the good of the group. But interestingly enough, from what I've seen of the INFP, they can be a little bit more focused, I think, than the ISFP on the good of the group, but from their own introverted feeling perspective. And when the group doesn't think that their own good is the same thing that the INFP's good or sees as being the good of the group, the group's not going to be able to convince necessarily the INFP that there's a divergence in viewpoint there, okay? I mean, the INFP will see the divergence. They don't need to be convinced that there is one, but they're not necessarily going to lay down their own viewpoint to take up the group's viewpoint on what is good for the group, because the INFP has this value system that they believe if it could be implemented and rolled out and the group would adopt it and accept it, that the group would benefit. So when the group pushes back against that, well, that's where you have this whole INFP side saying, well, I'm being pushed around, I'm being dragged down, the group is not accepting this vision that I have for them and then trying to push back. With the ISFP, it may be more like when we are told that what we like and what makes us feel good is bad or stupid or something like that, or whenever we believe that we're contributing something that adds beauty and pleasantness to the world for the group to enjoy, and then the group doesn't find value in that, that may be where we may be a little bit more apt to say, you know what, you don't value what I value and you're trying to push me around or pull me down or whatever. In both cases, though, we ISFPs and the INFPs, what we really don't want more than anything else, I think, is to be absorbed into the group. We don't want to lose our identity like a drop of water in a bucket, right? Where you no longer see the drop, you just see the mass of water that is the whole bucket, and the water drop has been absorbed. We don't want that. We want to be like think of a bucket of water, of clear water, and I, as an ISFP, I'm one single drop of blue food coloring. If I have to be absorbed into the group, which I don't want to be, then I want my absorption into it to affect it in a way that brings beauty into it, okay? And the INFP, it might be more like adding some sort of one drop of a cleanser into the water that makes it more pure and more, I don't know, more valuable, something like that. Maybe I'm I'm not great with metaphors. It's not my strong spot, but I'm just trying to give some word pictures here to help someone understand the difference. Whereas someone else who sees their value being tied up in the group might like the idea of just being another clear drop of water in an already full bucket of clear water. But to me, and I think to the INFP, that thought is not pleasant. Now, there's one other point that I want to make before I wrap up this video, and that is to talk about, let me first say that if you're not familiar with Dave and Shannon on Objective Personality, you should be. They're really fantastic. And they talk about how each function within each person has a masculine or a feminine leaning to it, okay? But a lot of that information that they talk about is on their site is behind a paywall, and I want to respect their paywall. So I don't want to just come out here because I've been on the other side of that paywall and I see that content and it's extremely valuable. I don't want to just come out here and like throw all their content out for everybody else and sort of disrespect their paywall operation. But if you have not joined Objective Personality to get on the other side of that paywall, let me just say it's worth it. You won't regret it if you do. But as I think about this idea of the functions being, you know, masculine or feminine, and it can be different within each person, this is where I do see some differences in introverted feeling, and it can be different between two ISFPs or two INFPs or either way. So my wife, who is an INFP, has lead introverted feeling, and I'm an ISFP with lead introverted feeling. But it doesn't come out quite the same way. And not just because I'm an ISFP and she's an INFP. It's not that. It's that my introverted feeling is, and my wife coined these terms, I think they're good, okay? My introverted feeling is yielding, and her introverted feeling is unyielding. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. And yes, I am using a little bit of Dave and Shannon's ideology from Objective Personality, but I'm just putting it in my own words. And again, I'm not going to go too in depth because I don't just want to steal from them and give it all to you guys. I want you guys to, you know, I want to respect that paywall again that they logically and operationally have put up. So when someone pushes on my introverted feeling, right? They push on my values. I have a tendency to be yielding. In other words, now keep in mind, yielding, not changing. But what I mean by that is I don't necessarily feel a need to put up my defenses or to fight or anything like that. I'm happy to just sort of go off in a corner with my introverted feeling values and say, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to argue with you. You pushed against me and, my introverted feeling. Cool. You believe whatever you want. It's all good. I'm over here. Now, I'm not saying I will never discuss beliefs, but when somebody's being pushy, they're not really interested in conversation, let's say, they're being pushy, I will yield and I'll go off somewhere else and just be happy with my little introverted feeling values, and they can be over there with their rudeness, basically, is the way I look at it. My wife's introverted feeling, however, is a little different. She has what I would call, or what we have coined, but again, we're basing this largely on Objective Personality's teaching. I want to give them the credit, okay? But I don't want to give too much of their information away. Where she has more unyielding introverted feeling. So when people push on her introverted feeling, she wants to fight a little bit. I mean, she doesn't really fight, but she gets a little bit more, wants to put up a fight, really. So not terribly long ago, someone that we know did something that violated my wife's values, okay? It really didn't necessarily have anything to do with my wife per se, but she saw this being done and it violated her values. And she was like mad, she was ready to like let it be known that she did not think that this violation of her values was an acceptable way to behave, even though that violation of values wasn't really directed at her per se. So I find that interesting that her introverted feeling, it really wants to like push back. When it gets pushed, it wants to push back. My introverted feeling, when it gets pushed, it wants to yield. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight over this. Okay. You're not going to change me. You're not going to convince me to think differently or value differently. I'll still value what I value. I'll still believe what I believe. I'm still the same person that I always was. You're not taking my identity, and you're not going to absorb me into the masses of, you know, genericness. That's not going to happen. But I'm cool to not fight. I'll just be over here. Whereas I think my wife's introverted feeling is more of a, you push me, I'm going to push you back, you know, kind of an introverted feeling. Not literally pushing people with your, you know, hands and their body, but just figuratively speaking, okay? So introverted feeling, introverted judging functions, either one, introverted feeling or introverted thinking, if you have that very high in your function stack, if it is one of your, as Dave and Shannon call them, your saviors, but especially if it is your lead function. So all the IPs are going to be very, this is, you know, for the ITI, this is what I know to be true. For the FI, this is what I believe to be right and good. And this is what I value and this is what I like. And when people push us on that, we don't like it much. And we're ready to be like, you know what, then just go away. Or sometimes I'll fight you over it. You know, probably not me, but some people with a high introverted judging function. So I won't back down. Just so you know, if you're dealing with someone who is who has a high introverted judging function, they won't back down. No, they won't back down. You could stand them up at the gates of hell, but they won't back down. They know what's right. They've got just one life, and they feel like they're in a world that keeps pushing them around and judging them and dragging them down. But even in the midst of all of that, they won't back down. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you found this useful or entertaining, please hit the like button. The like button, I get a shadow over here. So a like button. Please do subscribe. That would really mean the world to me. I appreciate all of you who are subscribers. I think I hit like 175 today, so that was cool. So thank you so much, all of you, and keep being awesome at all that you do. Bye now.